This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Let's talk about the next match and the performers within it, I guess, most importantly. Bam Bam Bigelow is going to lose to Mike Awesome. They have totally botched Mike Awesome here in WCW. He came in as the ECW champ. They try him as the fat chick Thrilla. They try him as that 70s guy. They just don't let him just be a badass. We're starting to see some of that here. I guess they're trying to position him as the career killer. I never got to meet Mike Awesome, but as a kid, he was one of my absolute favorites to watch. What did you think of Mike Awesome?
I think Mike, who was a nice enough guy, came into an environment of wolves and sharks. And I think there was a little bit of sniffing out that, hey, this guy's, he's a big star with ECW. He's going to be a big star here. I think the antenna kind of went up on a lot of the top guys, the more vicious top guys and the smarter top guys. And they figured we're going to have to get this guy to sabotage himself, or we're going to have to sabotage him. And it was not too many TVs. You started to see adding layers onto his character that he didn't need, putting in precarious situations instead of just winning for 9 weeks. If the guy was big, he was a good performer. The easiest way to get a guy over today, tomorrow, 25 years ago, put him in matches that have enough time, give him an opponent that knows what time it is, and just go out and win every week and have good matches. And, I don't think he really had a fair start. If he would have came to the company 10 years earlier, who knows what the guy could have been.
When you're talking about big guys who are smarter and vicious, maybe putting the kibosh on him, we're in code talking about Kevin Nash, are we not?
No. A lot of big guys, it could have just been guys that didn't necessarily want to go out and bump around for the guy. They didn't want to, showcase the guy. Certainly was not alluding to Kevin. But I mean, you had the Steiners, you had a lot of big guys that worked for that company. And, certainly if you paired him off the Goldberg, what that finish was going to be pretty quick.
Yeah, you do.
Can't go there. But hey, that worked. I was in full favor of Goldberg going out every week and thumping guys because nobody else looked like him. The athleticism, the striking, even though he was not a great worker, he wasn't out there long enough to become a great worker.
Right.
But that's fine because you knew what you had and you go with it, and the entire company got behind it.
What about Bam Bam Bigelow? This is a guy who was a big star for Vince once upon a time. I think a lot of people assumed he was going to be a top guy for a long, long time. Instead, he carved his own path, became an ECW world champ, did big business over in Japan. I don't know that he ever really reached the heights in WCW that folks expected. Was he just coming in too late? Had he picked up some injuries and his game maybe wasn't what it was before? Did he just not fit well politically? What can you tell us about Bam Bam in WCW?
I was never around Bam Bam in close quarters enough to know what exactly the deal was. I know that he did have some injuries. Big guys that take bumps like he does going to get hurt. Small guys that take bumps like he does are going to get hurt. And I just, there was a lot of rumor and things going around that well, let me just say that there comes a time to play and there comes a time to work, and you can't mix the two.
Got it.
And without, the guy was always nice to me, shook his hand every time I saw him. I respected the fact that a guy that size couldn't move like that. And it was just another one of those casualties of an era where there were a lot of casualties, and everyone was as hurtful as the one before it, and as disappointing and just sad. And he was a young man that should have lived a lot longer.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Well, they have a match here. Mike Awesome's going to get the win, 8 minutes and 36 seconds, but, they're doing some gimmick stuff here where Bigelow's punching his hand through a window and his forearm's all cut up. I gotta say, after we saw what happened when Goldberg punched out the window in the limo, which happened before this timeline wise, that's a bad idea, right?
100%. 100%. Surely to God, on this particular version, they were using candy glass.
I
right?
sure hope so. The sugar glass, I think is what they call it, right?
Is that, okay. Not being a guy that worked a match around punching a window out ever, I'm not really skilled on the terminology. I was always of the opinion that you open the door first and roll the window down, but
yeah, you do things a little differently. That's true.
And I can tell you the window that Goldberg punched out was not what did you say it was?
Sugar glass. Yeah.
No, it was the real deal. And it cut the piss out of him. I was right there close, and it was nasty.
Yeah. I mean, it was nearly life or death. I mean, he hits the wrong artery there. He's a goner.
Yeah. And the blood was spewing big time, and he spent some time on the sidelines as a result of that. I mean, like major times, like months, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He did.
Yeah. So bad call there. Anyway, back to Mike and Bam Bam.
Yep. Big boring chant here. Fans aren't really with it. They wind up on top of an ambulance. Bigelow goes through the roof. So we've had a couple of swerves. Now we got stunts. This is probably not your cup of tea so far, huh?
No, I'm a wrestler and I build a wrestling match, whether it's for me or as a producer, the guys I'm helping. Stunts aren't my gig.
I do want to mention somewhere in here, we started to see a bunch of backstage interviews with Mean Gene, and Gene is in rare form, just busting the talent's balls left and right. That was like the real Gene that you saw at the bar after the show, was it not?
Yes. And he was a national treasure. Gene Okerlund was beloved by everyone that ever bumped into him. I love Gene Okerlund. And he was just funny. One night we came in from a show from one of those that he had gotten out of early, must have been, probably a Nitro or something. And I'm coming through the lobby and I look over in the hotel bar and see, table load of the boys sitting there. We walk in and I look over and Gene is sitting in a chair, passed out with a full shrimp stuck in his mouth. And everybody's just partying and drinking and not paying. It's like, this is just an everyday thing. And I look around at the table of people and I went, guys, do you realize that's Mean Gene Okerlund asleep with a shrimp in his mouth? Can we not have some decorum here? So I took the shrimp out of his mouth, ate the shrimp, went to the room. No respect for Gene. Come on now. Somebody take that shrimp out of his mouth.
That's hilarious.
He's awesome, man. I miss him. What a guy.
One of the all-time greats.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.